and welcome. And I'd like to shed some light on the ego mind and the subconscious mind, and also what we would call the I am presence. And the reason I thought it was, really prudent to do is because when we awaken, we have so many things that happen to us. We start getting an inner knowing. We start getting a feeling of wanting to expand, but not perhaps knowing how to expand. And we also have this feeling of wanting to be of service to other people, which is the most wonderful thing to experience. But actually, how we manage that ourselves as we are growing, how we manage that becomes really important to understand when we're what I call in the 3D program and when we're outside of it. And also when we're being triggered. And this very much comes into the ego, and it very much also comes into the I am presence. And it became very much aware for me when I started doing my regressional hypnosis about having to take my clients into this theta state where we can actually get into the deeper wavelengths of the brain. And I don't want to go into too much detail because it doesn't need to be detailed. For me, it's about demystifying the mystified. So I'm going to give you just a sort of a whistle-stop tour on perhaps how you can identify when you go into the ego and the things that you can do to bring yourself out of it. Because there are certain times when we need to be in an egoic state of mind. But if we're coming into awakening, there are also times when we need to be outside of it so that we can be reflective and we can find out where we need to grow and also what triggers us and what we need to look at in order to move forward. And I think when we awaken, the place we're looking to get to is a place of deep understanding of ourselves. Because often, and I know I was really guilty of this, often we try to help others in our need to be of service. We try to help others, but we do it from a wrong perspective. We do it because it fulfills a need within us that also helps somebody else. But when we come into awakening, it's about understanding who you truly are. What are your programs? What have you brought into this lifetime to learn, heal and release? And also, what do you hold on from past lifetimes, galactic lifetimes, from other dimensions? So going back to the original part of this conversation about the ego is simply that. It's when we live in the 3D program. It's when we jump into all of our belief system, all of the negative belief system that we've adopted, when we are in that place of having to survive within the lower density energy fields. And I want you to understand that there has to be a balance. It can't be that we all are awakened, we live in this ninth dimensional, wonderful, light language coded existence, because that's not what we've done. What we've done is we've dropped it into 3D in order to live, experience and feel the dense energies. So there will be a period of time where you do have to exist in 3D, because at the end of the day, you do have to go to Tesco's to do your shop. You do have to fill up your car with petrol. You do have to earn money in order to survive. So being in the 3D ego, absolutely we have to do that. But the balance is about understanding when you're in it and what it feels like to be out of it. So I think we all probably understand what it feels like to be in it, because we get caught up in what we call that rat race. We get caught up in all of the illusion of having to have more, having to have bigger, having to survive. We go in, our adrenal glands kick into overdrive because we go into fight and flight. We come into anxiety, we come into fear, which is all part of being in that ego mind. And the mind of having to always advance for betterment of ourselves and not necessarily for the collective. And once again, I want you to understand that that's okay, because we're having that experience. That's what we're coming to learn. But when we're really in it, when we're in the program and we're in the ego mind, it's very difficult for us to look at the bigger picture because we're so focused in, getting to where we need to get to at the quickest pace with the most advancement, with the biggest car, the biggest house, because then that makes us a better person and it makes us look to other people as though we're successful. That is pure ego, pure ego. Because to be successful when you come into spirituality and when you come into awakening is to come into a place of peace. It's to come into a place of being centered in the I am presence. And when I talk about the I am presence, I always sort of draw a line down in the middle because that brings me back into center alignment. And the I am presence allows us to step out of the ego mind. And if you want to imagine yourself actually just sort of stepping out leaving the ego mind as a shadow self and stepping into the I am as total purity of heart and being heart coherent, then imagine yourself splitting and ask yourself during the day, am I in ego or am I in the I am? Because when we're in the I am, we are more compassionate, not only to others, but to ourselves. We have compassion for our journey and we have compassion for all the lessons that we've chosen to learn. So that means all of the programs that we need to deconstruct, all of those belief systems that we need to change, when we're in the totality of who we are and we're not in that ego shadow, we can see those with clear sight. We can understand them more and we can journey within to understand how we heal and release that. Because when we do that journey work, and it continues all the way through this incarnation, we don't suddenly do our shadow work and then we're just shining white light, because it doesn't work like that, because we're multi-dimensional beings. We're multifaceted, we're multi-layered within our energy systems. So when we can start in our awakening, just to look at who we are with clear sight, but always with compassion for the journey we've taken, we then get to understand what it feels like to be in the I am presence. And then when we are called to drop into the ego because we have to survive in a 3D world, we can navigate between the two. But when we're fully in the ego, we're very much into anxiety, depression, fear, self-loathing, not understanding who we are. And we respond to that from the fight or flight perspective, which becomes a self-perpetuating cycle that we can't get out of until we sort of stop and go, hey, we don't want to be in this anymore because it's too painful. And then we start awakening, and that awakening is showing those prisms of light that come into who you truly are, who you are in the I am presence. And then we journey through meditation, we journey through journaling, we journey through light language. And we come back into the joy of who we are, into the joy of our spirit that isn't bound and constrained within the programs of lack of self-worth, not being able to speak, not being able to be seen, rejection, abandonment, fear, pain. All of those things that we've chosen to learn, we don't sit within them. We acknowledge them and we journey within our blueprint. We journey within our matrix field to understand and to decode that so that we can bring in more light and we can become what we call awakened. And that process is a journey we take. It doesn't happen overnight. Otherwise, we wouldn't learn our lessons. And yes, it's painful. Yes, we have to search in the abyss. But when we do that journey, when we put on our big girl and boy pants and we jump in, you become supported by your tribe. You become supported by other people who are doing this work, by not only energy healers and Reiki healers and mediums and all the wonderful people who do their very special work, You come back into the soul, you come back into the collective. And when we are in the collective, we fully understand that we are all connected. We are all connected. But in the ego world, we become disconnected. We go into the illusion of separation, and that's where we have to start healing from. So that's sort of a whistle-stop tour of ego and I am. I will share more with you on other things in terms of ascension and awakening. But they're simply bite-sized pieces for you to start digesting, for you to start having some resonance with. And when we do, that journey opens up for us. And we become content with who we are. We don't have to compare ourselves with anybody else. Other people's opinions aren't important to us because we know that we're truly anchored into the light. And yes, we have times of being judgmental. Yes, we have times of being in the ego, but that's all part of the big plan. It's about understanding when you drop into that, stopping yourself and asking, do I need to be in the ego right now? Or can I come back into my central alignment of non-judgmental love and compassion for everyone that we come into? And then we come up as a compassionate observer of our life and we learn. And that is our one aim in this life, is to learn to be compassionate, learn to be loving of self and of others, and to reconnect. So I really hope that helped. And with my love, Kitesha Manaska Dora Satosha Makosha in Itora Satosha Makara, Sayete Senekite Itora Satosha Makoya, Bor Sotoya Maana Sayete Se Dor Sotoya, Kite Sa Achaito Osho. Find your North Star and navigate yourself to it. And if you struggle, reach out. And if you find love and peace, spread it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And with my love, thank you.